All right, so just wanted to kind of recap. I basically filmed myself working through this issue with this 6-liter diesel motor that I've been trying to rebuild, or just get tore down rather. And so I basically got stuck all day yesterday trying to get the freeze plugs out of the motor. I wanted to do just an initial clean down myself so that I could go through and just measure the whole engine. And I got hung up on two, well, at that time, only one. Basically spent about a half a day screwing with trying to get this freeze plug out. Here's a few of my, how do you say, misadventures here. You see two of them I welded bolt. I had tried this one with the running poking a hole in it and trying to pull it with something. That didn't work, so I ended up just saying screw it, welding it. And this one, same thing, but without as much blood and sweat. Lo and behold, I get the freeze plug out. I'll show you. You'll see some video of what it looks like. But in the casting on some of these trucks, it's the third, I believe. I've got the upside down, so maybe the third the other way. Cylinder has not just a bore where the freeze plug goes into, but it's got kind of a backed area, like a lip, for it to not be able to go all the way through. These same way on the front and rear of the engine. They got the backing so that you can't knock them out like the usual way. That's great, like you're not gonna push it too deep and accidentally knock it into your engine and just trying to do a freeze plug replace. But it doesn't make a lot of sense because all of the other ones are just a bore, just like normal. And so what happens is you go to start pushing this freeze plug out like the standard way, where you hit it on one side and then it's going to kind of flip on you like a coin. And then what happens with these is you start hitting on it and it sort of backs up until it can't back up anymore, and then it's just dead, and you're knocking it, and it doesn't want to flip. So what I did on the first one was I knocked it the other side, thinking, oh well, maybe it's some issue with the bore or something with going that angle. So I hit the other side and basically knocked it flush against that lip, which goes all the way around. So short of it, tried a few things to get it out. I ended up having to cut it out of the other side with a Dremel tool. And it sucked, and I'm beat up today from tearing my garage up. It's just an absolute mess, and so I couldn't find a thing about how to get these style of bore, or get the freeze plugs out of this style of bore. So I had a theory. I've videoed a little bit of it, but I thought, well, I'm going through all this trouble trying to get these out. I'm sure maybe a machine shop or somebody has a tool that does it perfectly, but the internet has not provided me an answer with what that is. So I tried, making a tool that had like a little piece that you stick in and it flaps over and then you pull against it. But I was doing it on I just couldn't make it sturdy enough to work. And so it broke as soon as I, put any kind of real force on it. And so that theory didn't pan out. So then I said, what I ended up doing with the other one was welding a bolt to it and then using, leverage and tightening the bolt to pull it out. You'll see here in a second. That works, but it's not ideal. I've got a flux core welder. It makes a lot of little beads. You don't want all your journals getting exposed to stuff. And then I kept arcing over to my casting. Luckily, it wasn't in any serious way. One part was very near a mating surface, and basically on the edge of the outside of that mating surface, and I don't think it's an issue, but not what you want to be doing. But I don't know a better way to do it. I couldn't find a better way to do it. So What I filmed today was me trying this theory of using like a concrete anchor, which also didn't work. But in theory, it was gonna, as the thing gets pulled out, it starts expanding, and then it'll grab the plug. But they're just too thin. It just blew through it. Is all it ended up doing. May work with a different style of concrete anchor. I don't know. But you got to watch that, because you could run the risk of basically concrete anchoring your cylinder, your bore and your engine block, and then you're really screwed. So I abandoned that. I just ended up going with the welding it to that other side that had the flanged freeze plug bore, and got it out that way. It's already a grossly contaminated block as it is, but I learned a few things, and then I talk about a few other things in the video. I'll just kind of tag those on at the end of this narrative piece. But I guess I'll just kind of document this as I go along, since there's a few videos out there of guys doing this, but they're a little more professional. How do you say professional? So I'm going to show you kind of what I've got a decent selection of tools and a modest amount of mechanical experience, and so you'll see, I guess, maybe whether or not this is a thing you want to pursue. If you're thinking about rebuilding your 6.0, they are now to the point where parts are not like exorbitant, and you can get like it's a worthwhile engine to rebuild. They've got they make a great amount of power. They went into all kinds of stuff. My truck I use primarily as like a vacation mobile. So like I got a camper and stuff like that. I also like to wrench and stuff like that for fun. So I got this motor for really cheap. I bought it because it had ARP head studs in it, and I wanted some for my truck, the engine that's in there currently. And then I got to thinking, they talk about all this cab off stuff. Why don't I just like plan on an engine swap so that I don't put myself in that situation?